So I'm here at Arthur Bay again, and I was here a few weeks ago, and I'm coming here with already a composition in mind, because last time I was here I noticed a composition up by those rocks over there that I really want to shoot, and today the conditions are just perfect. We have some really nice clouds in the sky, and it's not too cloudy to where it'll block the sun, so hopefully we'll get a real nice sunset tonight. And I've actually shot this location 2 other times before today. One of them I got a really good image, and then the next time I didn't really get too good of an image, so I'm kind of revisiting this spot for a 3rd time. Now it is always very beneficial to revisit a location. Even though I've already shot this spot 2 times, I really like the composition, so I'm coming again to shoot it. Just because with landscape photography, the conditions change so rapidly and so much that these clouds are completely different from any clouds I've seen yet while trying to shoot this location. So I'm definitely going to get a unique shot. It's going to be nothing like the other 2 shots I got. Alright, so I've got my camera all set up here, ready to take the image. I fine-tuned my composition, and I just want to kind of discuss the composition a little bit. Alright, so here's the composition I'm using. What I have is in the foreground, this crack in the rock is going to be a leading line to these boulders and the ocean in the midground. Then I've got the sky in the background, and the mountains of Cape Cleveland that you can barely see because I'm using a wide angle, so they're not very predominant. But what I tried to do in framing this composition is I tried to split the image into thirds. So I've got the rock here with the leading line is 1/3, then the boulders and the oceans is another third, and the sky and the mountains of Cape Cleveland as the top third. This just makes a lot more balanced image. And I had to be really careful with the composition and the framing of this image, because if you can see, if I zoom out, we've got these rocks here kind of protruding to the left, so I wanted to cut that out of the scene. And also it's really hard to see, but there's more mountains over here to the right, and if I have just the edge of them in the scene, it doesn't look too pleasing because you don't get to see the whole mountain range. So I just zoom in just enough to cut off the rocks on the left and the mountains up on the right. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with this composition. I think it's pretty simple but pretty good. And then I'm also going to be focus stacking this image because the rock with the crack in it in the foreground is really close to the lens. So if I take a shot focused on the boulder here in the midground, it won't be sharp closest to the camera. So I'm going to focus on the nearest point, then take a picture, then focus on the rock, take another picture, and then just to be safe, I'll also focus on the mountains in the far background and take a 3rd picture. Then I'll be able to blend these together in Photoshop and make sure the image is sharp throughout. And then also what I'm going to be doing, since these boulders are really dark in the foreground and the sky is going to be really bright, I'm going to overexpose to make sure I get enough detail in these boulders so I can blend that together with the focus stack with the nice colors in the sky at sunset. But I'm not starting to take images yet. I'm still going to wait until almost sunset. Then I'm going to put on a circular polarizer and a 3-stop graduated filter. And I haven't decided if I'm going to use a 10-stop filter yet, It is kind of dark because there isn't too much sun and there is a good amount of cloud cover, so I might still be able to get long shutter speeds without using the 10-stop filter, but I'll see how it's looking more towards sunset. So I'm already starting to take my foreground images. So I'm just focusing on the spot closest to the camera. And I am using the circular polarizer to kind of remove the glare and darken up the ocean a bit. And then the 3-stop grad filter to darken the sky to make the image a little bit more balanced. So right now I'm shooting it 1/2 second, f11, ISO 100. And the image is actually looking very green for some reason, just because I think the ocean's a weird shade of blue right now, and then contrast with the real blue in the sky, it makes the ocean look very green. So yep, I'm just getting also my mid-ground images with all the detail. So I'm watching my histogram, making sure my shadows aren't being clipped. And then I'm taking an exposure so I get all the shadow detail in the boulders in the middle of my scene. And then we still do have a few minutes until sunset, but the sky's already starting to light up really good. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use a 10-stop filter. I guess I'll figure it out in the next couple of minutes. So I'm just going to keep taking some images while the light changes right now. So I have decided to put on a 10-stop filter, and I'm shooting at ISO 800 f8, and it's going to be about a 1 minute 8-second exposure. And the reason I'm using ISO 100 is just because so I don't have to do like a 5-minute exposure if I was on ISO 100. So this gives me more options to work as the light changes, because it is turning into a pretty nice sunset, and I don't want to take a 5-minute exposure and maybe have it not be enough and have the sunset be wasted. So I've already taken images for the foreground and midground at ISO 100 that are sharp and noise-free that I can use to blend in with the long exposure that I'll be using mainly to get motion in the clouds and motion in the ocean. So yeah, the sky is really looking nice. And I'm taking another shot, this time at 1 minute 30 seconds, still f8, ISO 800. And I'm of course using my shutter release because I have to put it on bulb mode. And then what I'll do after I'm done taking this exposure, getting the motion in the water and in the clouds, I'm going to take off the filters, and then I'm going to again take images of the foreground and the midground of the boulders. I want to take them kind of closer when I'm doing the long exposure, just because the colors will match more when it's made in the same time frame, rather than if it was 20 minutes before and then combining it with an image taken now, just because the light changes so much, so it might not look natural if I try and combine those images taken so far apart. So let's see how it looks. Looks pretty good. So that's all for today's video. The light's already peaked and the colors in the sky are already fading. So I think I came away with a pretty good image. It's going to be pretty technical though, with a lot of combining of several different images, but I still think it'll be pretty spectacular just because it was such a nice sunset. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later.